but you have to guarantee me anonymity. He said, in the position that I'm in, nobody can know that I was the guy talking about this. So I said, sure, what is it? You know, sounds like a bombshell or something, right? We talked on the phone, and he said, you need to know that a meeting took place here in Washington, D.C., and there were two of the senior rabbis from Israel, Orthodox rabbis from Israel, that came over. They had a sit-down meeting with Donald Trump, Jared Kushner, and a couple of other of the members of the Faith Council were in that meeting. Bottom line is he told me quite a bit of stuff which has since started rolling out, coming out in the news, which has confirmed to me that he knew what he was talking about, right? Mm-hmm. But the big bombshell was these rabbis are in the ear of Donald Trump and Jared Kushner and Jared Kushner and Jared Kushner specifically to let Trump know that he won the election against all odds because God led him to that point so that he would be an agent, a King Cyrus-like agent, to secondly, not only be a friend to Israel, but ultimately, when the time is right, to speak in favor of the building of the third.
It was the first red heifer sacrifice in over 2,000 years, done with a perfect priest. Ritual was completed outside of the camp, aligning with Numbers 19.
It was the perfect one. It was a ceremony. They did sacrifice a red heifer, and they do have the ashes for the purification ceremony.
It was a legitimate ceremony.
Bernd Stinson, the man who has been taking care of the red heifers, recently shared surprising news. He said that on July 1st, 2025, Temple Institute really did the actual red heifer ceremony. They sacrificed a perfect red heifer supervised by the Rabbi Ariel. He said in a Facebook post, the ceremony went perfectly with a perfect priest in a place outside of the camp. And in that respect, we used a perfect red heifer. This ceremony was done before Hashem. He is merciful and faithful.
Θα ξαναχτιστεί άλλη μία φορά ο ναός, σύμφωνα με τις προφητείες που έχουμε, και θα τον κτίσουν οι Εβραίοι, ή καλύτερα ο Αντίχριστος. Αφού δεν κτιστεί και θα τελειώσει, θα εισέλθει εκεί ο Αντίχριστος ως Μεσσίας, διεκδικών δικαιώματα Χριστού. Χριστός θα πει Μεσσίας. Και τότε βεβαίως θα ζητήσει ό,τι θα ζητήσει, θα προσκυνηθεί, θα ζητήσει και ό,τι άλλο.
And I'm going to show you right now that it is happening. And in fact, what you see here is a chairlift that they are putting in to the old city in Jerusalem. It's going to look like this. They're building a whole building. It's called the Kotel Elevator. They're building a whole building to take people. See that? They're building a chairlift to take people up to the Temple Mount when the temple, the third temple, is there. And so they have this whole area under construction. They made road signs that say Harbet Hashem, which means the house of God. Like, they're directing people to the third temple already. Like, they've already got the signs up. You can see like the Jerusalem sign above it, and then Bet El above that. Like, so this is on the road. I think this is the road to the Dead Sea.
Αν δείτε να ανοικοδομείται ο ναός, τότε να πείτε ότι κάπου εδώ κοντά είναι το τέλος της ιστορίας.
About a month ago, on July 1st, there was an announcement that they were going to do a practice run of the red heifer. It was really a bad twist. So they said that and also the government wasn't going to let them. So what they did was they said, we're just going to do a practice one with one of the 5 disqualified cows. The government said, okay, whatever. They ended up going out, doing a real cow. One of the cow's name was Tikva. They made the offering, and it was a real offering. They did it all by the laws, and I have with me some of the ashes right here, red heifer ashes. Last time that the red heifer was done was over 2,000 years ago. The first time it was done by Moses. The second time it was done by Ezra from the book in the Bible. And that shows you how long the ashes can last for. So a pure red heifer doesn't come about all the time. And in this generation, we had 21 of them that were born.
Pure.
pure. They picked 7 to bring to Israel, and out of the 7, Israel only allowed them to have 5 brought in, and they've been sitting around just doing nothing because the media outrage has been so astronomical about it. But the red heifer people, they fooled everybody, and they successfully performed the ritual about a month ago. Now, in the ritual, you're supposed to have hyssop. I have also hyssop that is from the actual ritual, and also the red heifer ashes. And these get put into a clay jar and then sprinkled on people in a healing ritual. And it removes the impurity of death and allows for people to heal. I have a video from the ritual, and if you want to play it, I don't know if it has copyrighted music. Can you slide it so people can see the slide? So these are the slides of the actual ceremony being taken place, and that's tikva. And everything was done specifically according to halacha, which is Jewish law. It was a perfect cow, and meaning that it doesn't have a single hair that is not red. And also, it could never have been burdened with work. So you can't even lean a shovel up against the cow. They have to be treated in a very specific way for their whole life. And then the person who does the ritual can never have been in contact with death. So basically, they're not allowed to go to. They have to be of a specific bloodline. And what they do was they raise these children in like these elevated homes above the ground, and they never leave the home until they're ready to do the rituals. And that's like how they never come into contact with death. So the priest who did this literally lived in his home for over 20 years before he...
Never left?
Nope. Because he was born to do this ritual.
Wow.
And now that it's been done, the Messiah can come. We can't build the temple until this happened. And now that this happened, the Messiah can come build the third temple in Jerusalem.
More in 6 months than almost any administration could accomplish in 8 years, and we're going to have a lot of good 6 months left. We're going to have a 6 and another 6 and another 6.
Γι' αυτό, αν δείτε ποτέ στις μέρες σας, γιατί το λέω εγώ, γιατί εμείς είμαστε ηλικιωμένοι, θα φύγουμε, δείτε ότι κτίζεται ο νέος Σολομώνος, θα πείτε, ένα από τα σημάδια τα πολλά που ο Χριστός μας είπε, είναι και αυτό, ότι το τέλος είναι κοντά. Ο Αντίχριστος έρχεται. Προσέξτε μόνο ότι δεν θα έχετε λύπη, δεν θα έχετε φόβο, δεν θα έχετε τρομάρα από εκείνη την τρομάρα που αποκτούν οι άνθρωποι εν ώψη του ερχομού του Αντιχρίστου. Πρέπει να έχετε χαρά. Το λέει ο Χριστός.
Signed the Genius Act, which regulates a kind of cryptocurrency called stablecoins. They're tied to the value of other assets like the dollar or gold, which makes them more stable compared to other crypto like Bitcoin, which is known to be volatile. So why the Genius Act? Well, it creates a regulatory framework which requires people who issue stablecoin to comply with anti-laundering and sanctions rules. This act likely paves the way for stablecoin to go mainstream and to be used for digital payments. And you'll probably see big Wall Street firms and other non-financial companies embracing it.
The Genius Act gives the government the power to seize, freeze, or burn digital currency. Let me read you something directly from the Genius Act, and I quote, "All stablecoin issuers must possess the technical capability to seize, freeze, or burn payment stablecoins when legally required, and must comply with lawful orders to do so."
This digital euro. The deadline for us is going to be October of 2025, and we are getting ready for that deadline.
So look at this. You're in London, you're on a business trip. You're staying in Greenwich, and you want to buy some food. So you go into the local Aldi's, like this one, and you think, I'm going to go in here and buy some food so that I can feed myself. And then you approach the barrier, and look, you can't even get in the shop without having a QR code to scan here, or to scan here. And then you can go in and buy things. Now this looks to me like the beginning stages of the digital prison that we keep talking about.
Λαέ μου, μην έχεις σχέση με τον κόσμο. Τίποτε το ακάθαρτο μην εγγίζεις. Τα καμώματα του κόσμου μην τα μετέρχεσαι. Διασκεδάζει έτσι ο κόσμος, εσύ όχι. Πηγαίνει εκεί ο κόσμος, εσύ όχι. Ζει έτσι ο κόσμος, εσύ λαέ μου όχι. Αλλά σας βεβαιώνω, τι να βεβαιώσω, εκείνος ο οποίος δεν κατάφερε να έχει αυτήν την πνευματική έξοδο από τον κόσμο, ούτε τότε θα μπορέσει στα έσχατα να επιτύχει την τοπική έξοδο. Ούτε τότε δεν θα το μπορέσει αυτό.
Start to invest in these brain sensors, it's a huge, I think, untapped market in many ways of integrating them into everyday devices. These are earbuds or watches or headphones and the soft cups around the ears. Many of those products are hitting the market this year.
If even what you're thinking right now is something that you could know, that I could know, and that we all could see. And we've been able to decode that now through a simple consumer-based EEG device such that we can literally see what he's thinking. Now, we're not yet at the point where what all of you are thinking right now is something that, like a little thought bubble above your head, is something we can see, but we're getting there, which means that the NSA and other organizations can spy not just on your email and your cell phones, but soon, potentially on your brain. Seeing that person commit the crime, even though that person is utterly innocent, that it becomes a planted memory. And so there's some really interesting research that we can plant false memories in the brain. And in a different context, one of the emerging areas that's really interesting in law neuroscience is pain detection. And once we understand the circuitries that cause pain, I guess the question is, could we then instill pain and use that in many coercive measures in the legal system as well? So, wow.
Έτσι, τα μαρτύρια των παλαιών διωγμών, αγαπητοί μου, ήταν βέβαια ένας βασανισμός του σώματος, φρικώδης. Όμως δεν υπήρχε επηρεασμός του νου και της ψυχής. Ενώ στα μαρτύρια των εσχάτων θα έχουμε επηρεασμό και της ψυχής. Και οι μέθοδοι θα είναι σατανικότερες.
Satan himself, which really obviously is shocking. And his priority for us, it changed the trajectory of the cult, and we started attacking just Christians, going after clergy specifically. So
UK researchers experiment with a solar geoengineering system called Satan. The same company that are set to spend 66 million on experiments to dim the sun. So the company that's going to be spraying our skies with reflective chemicals to reflect the sunlight back into space, which is going to affect the seasons, it's going to affect the crops, and it's going to affect the rain patterns. And they have literally called it stratospheric aerosol transport and nucleation. Satan.
Google and Facebook use data voodoo dolls to provide their customers, who are marketers, with perfect information about every consumer. They use the same data to manipulate consumer choices. Just as in China, behavioral manipulation is the goal, aided by algorithms that reinforce past behavior. The result is 2.5 billion Truman shows on Facebook.
Και όταν σας διώκουν από τη μία πόλη να πηγαίνετε εις την άλλη, όπως σας είπα προηγουμένως. Τώρα όμως ο διωγμός είναι παγκόσμιος. Πού θα καταφύγουμε, πού θα πάμε? Και προσέξατε, εάν δεν είναι στις ημέρες ημών των μεγάλων, μπορεί να είναι όμως στις ημέρες των παιδιών σας ή των εγγονών σας, διότι τα πράγματα μοιάζουν ότι είναι πάρα πολύ κοντά. Έτσι, πού θα καταφύγουμε? Δείτε ότι κτίζεται ο νέος Σολομώνος, θα πείτε, ένα από τα σημάδια τα πολλά που ο Χριστός μας είπε είναι και αυτό, ότι το τέλος είναι κοντά. Ο Αντίχριστος έρχεται. Προσέξτε μόνο ότι δεν θα έχετε λύπη, δεν θα έχετε φόβο, δεν θα έχετε τρομάρα από εκείνη την τρομάρα που αποκτούν οι άνθρωποι εν ώψη του ερχομού του Αντιχρίστου. Πρέπει να έχετε χαρά. Το λέει ο Χριστός. Μείνετε σταθεροί εις τον Ιησού Χριστόν, ό,τι κι αν πει ο κόσμος. Κι αν ακόμα δεν σας χειροκροτήσει κάποια μέρα ο κόσμος, μη σας νοιάζει, θα σας χειροκροτήσει ο ουρανός.